Welcome back to the Chevelle paint yale. I came out this morning and I don't know if I want to say I forgot that I painted the front end, but just coming up to the car and seeing something painted and looking nice was really nice to see. There's obviously some issues with the dust in the paint that I have to be more cautious about. I need to clean out my garage better for the next stuff we're painting, but I really think that this is good enough for now. And when we have painted the whole car, and our biggest issue is the small dust stuff in the hood, yeah, then we can tackle that. So for now, I'm gonna call it good. And also, as some have mentioned, it is looking really nice, and compared to what I started with, it is fantastic. So before we start working here, I just wanted to give you a big thank you, all of the nice comments, and yeah, I really appreciate all the kind things you say. So I'm really happy that you enjoy the videos, and it inspires me to keep making the English videos, which I really do enjoy. So thank you a lot. But what's the plan here right now? I have been debating myself if I should try and put the whole back of the car in primer, or if I should do like I have done here on the front end and focus on just the doors, because it's hard to work on everything at the same time. So sometimes it's hard to, or it's just nice to pinpoint something that you're just working on. You're just working on the deck lid, just working on the doors, just working on the front end. So I think for my own sanity, we're gonna go ahead and tackle the doors. So they are basically done for a sandal primer, and as I have said, this door is a mess. It is so rusty, and it was super bent. This line was caving out like this, and it's a huge dent over here. And since it had rust holes like everywhere, so I just thought there's nothing to do with this. Just took some fiberglass body filler and just started making a shape. So it's really bad, but I think it's gonna look decent. So it has some very deep scratches. We have to take this down with the orbital sander to get all the scratches out. Then we can get that in primer. I have to do some work to these the weldings they had done to the door frame. I believe, or I'm very certain, that these are 2-door hardtop doors that they have converted into post doors, but I'm not 100% sure. They were like this when I got them. So we're gonna be focusing on the doors, and we might also focus here on the deck lid. The last thing happened in this was that Pontus was here helping me, and he came really far along on the deck lid. I think this area is basically done. I know there is a sort of low point here, but it is pretty close. We have these small areas, but that's really easy. So best case scenario, we can get some sandable primer on the doors and the deck lid here today. Deck lid. Something that is really hard for me as a European is that for the most part, I'm very influential by America, of course. I love the America and everything you in the States stand for with loving your country and all of that. But since I get a lot of impressions in English from everywhere, like England and America and everywhere else, I feel that you probably recognize it more than I do, that I mix in English words that you don't usually use in America. So now every time I say deck lid, I'm thinking, I mean, you can say deck lid and trunk lid. It's deck lid, the English, what they say in English, and trunk lid, what you say over in America. I know that, I mean, in America you say hood instead of bonnet. Bonnet is an English word, or something you say in England. So please tell me, is it trunk lid or deck lid, or does it even matter? But that's some things I struggle with here with making my videos. Like I feel like I sound like an idiot sometimes. But yeah, that's the European life, I guess, trying to speak English. But anyway, I'm gonna stop talking now and get to work. So I'm going around the car thinking a little bit, and I feel over this, the bodywork that Pontus did, and it's actually a little bit better than I remembered it. Yeah, there's a bit of a low spot here, but just get it over with. We'll put this in sandable primer. I think it's gonna look good enough. So since we won't be doing a lot of bodywork or filler and sanding, the only major sanding we have to do is here. So the only thing we have to do then is we have to get all of the rough sanding scratches out, which is mostly on the driver door. And I think that we can realistically have this whole thing in primer today. So that would be really, really nice, having the whole car in primer. And that would also mean that if we have this in primer today, maybe on Monday, we can take the whole day sanding it, prepping it, cleaning out the garage hopefully, and then on Tuesday or even Wednesday if we have to, we can just spray the car and be done with it. So that will be my goal, getting the whole rest of the car in sandable primer today. So I'm gonna go ahead and just go over everything which has those rough sanding scratches. This is definitely the worst. I put on some black Rattle Can paint here. I really like doing that and when I do the bodywork, because you see every low spot. But it's also really nice to do when you want to get some sanding scratches out with the orbital sander, because you see very clearly when the scratches disappear. So I'm gonna take a few hours, go over everything, and prepping it to hopefully get it in primer today. I've gone over the whole car, taking out all the deeper sanding scratches. So we're good so far, but there are some small stuff I have found. There's a dent here, a dent there, some small dents here. So nothing major, but some small stuff. Here we have to add some more to get that nice small dent over here. But other than that, it's pretty good. So I'm gonna go over, fill in all of those, shouldn't take too long. Maybe some small stuff on this rear quarter, I'm not sure right now. But other than that, I think the doors are nothing to do on the doors, some small dents. So I think we're gonna make it. It's 11 now, so yeah, just gonna power on and hopefully we can get some primer on this today. The sky cleared up, so I thought I might as well paint this outside. So I have done all of the small areas I wanted to do, some small stuff here on the door, all of these small things, some on these, and some small thing here. So it is gonna be what it's gonna be. Now we're not gonna do anything more with filling and sanding. So now I'm gonna see if we can prime this thing. And the thing right now is, since I am doing this completely backwards by doing some bodywork, some primer, some paint and everything, now we need to obviously mask this. And the thing is, I really don't want to get primer in on these areas and in the B pillar and stuff like that. So fortunately we have to do a lot of unnecessary masking because I'm doing this how I'm doing it. But also being motivated by looking at that helps me work on this. So yeah, in some weird way it is better for me this way. But anyway, it's so boring that I'm just sanding for a lot of hours and then masking for an hour. It's not much content in it, but that's part of doing body work, unfortunately. So yeah, you just have to power through it. But I'm gonna go ahead, mask this, and then we can get some primer on it. after a lot of masking, we're finally ready to lay some primer on this. And something came to mind, and that is that the inside of the trunk is not fixed in any way, or the trunk lid. But I don't care right now. We can get some primer on this, then we can do the inside of the trunk lid later. So yeah, you just have to load up the paint gun and start spraying. This is so nice having this all in primer, and in the best case scenario we can sand this thing on Monday and maybe clean the garage on Tuesday, or however it turns out, and get some paint on this on either on Tuesday or Wednesday, and that will be so nice. There are some small stuff that you see when you prime. There's a small dent there. I know that this quarter isn't perfect. I tried to get some extra material on this quarter and on that door. There was a little dent over here, some small imperfections over there, but I mean, maybe we do some small corrections, but it is going to look decent. It's going to look the same as the front fenders, and that will actually be good enough for this thing. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean the garage, and while this dries, and then we can remove the masking. And so this looks really nice, and this is the first time I have ever seen this in a almost one color, if we want to call it that. And I think it's good that I painted the front end, because if I would have had the whole car in primer gray, I would probably thrown in the towel there and just put on the door handles and bumpers and all of that, and driven with it just this like this. I'm not a fan of gray, but it would be nice to be done. But I think it's great that we got some paint on the front end, so that we have to do the rest of the car. And there are some imperfections I can see, but it is going to look as good as the front end is, and it's going to be really nice. So I'm really looking forward to next week. So I think I'm gonna do on Monday, we're gonna prioritize getting some paint on the inside of the trunk lid, so that then we can smack that down and do the outside, so that we don't have to think about the inside of the trunk anymore. And I mean, probably Monday and Tuesday will come and go in just sanding, prepping, painting the inside of the trunk lid, and then masking everything. And I mean, I shouldn't stress this. I also have to clean out the garage so we don't get dust problems. And then maybe on Wednesday, hopefully, we will have paint on this thing. I really think that worst case, we will have paint on it before the end of next week. I was thinking I was going to have paint on it this week, but apparently that didn't happen. I've been thinking that for a long time, but everything takes so much time. But yeah, that's the paint jail, I guess. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will be back with you next week when we're really gonna get some paint on this thing. So see you next week.